You have to use it until it's depleted, the first, after you charge it up. And then after that, it's gonna, because if it's a low end lithium, it remembers as it charges less and less. Also, depending on like the manufacturer too, but yeah, a lot of the times it's that.
Same brand, same model.
As I was studying and reading and learning, I realized my mistakes.
Well, I think there is one way to reverse that, but I need to take the battery so that when the BIOS can.
Probably cheaper to replace the battery. Internal battery sometimes is harder to replace because they get soldered on. A lot of the times they force you to buy a new system by doing it. You just go to the website, look up the model.
Yeah.
Let me activate caption on here and then we'll work. All right. So, as you are logging into Canvas, right, you might need to use Edge because Chrome is outdated. But anyways, at the end of class or before we go, I want to talk about this. I did activate your Security Plus practice test and I sent everyone an access code. If you didn't receive it, let me know. I will resend it to you, or if I missed it. And then there's an extra credit opportunity. We'll talk about that. So today we are going to do lab 9, which is a fairly short lab. We're going to talk about Windows backup. You are going to have employers or people who interview you to ask you on procedure for backup. Many of the technicians enter the entry positions have to perform backup. This is a way that we would, kind of make sure that our system is going to be available when we have issues or when we respond to a certain incident or we have certain incident. All right, so download this. You are going to need your external USB drive for backup and your virtual machine. I rewrote some of the steps at the beginning as this lab was originally created for the actual desktop, but you are using the virtual machine that I created in lab 5. So it is under your 2000 CIS27 2003 folder, or you can use the one that you made before. That's fine. Whichever that you can log in, it should be all right. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to log into your PC. I need you to connect your external USB drive. And then you are going to open up your folder on your USB drive. Hi, Chris. So to do this, you simply just click on this PC. And then you should be able to see your external USB drive, which I activated over to my virtual machine already. So on my system, it's hidden there. But you should be able to connect to your USB drive. And on it, what I did was I went and I copied the folder CIS27 2023. I just drag it to my desktop. This is the issue with VirtualBox, is that sometimes you cannot access it directly from the drive. For some reason, it shows corrupted. So if you copy it first before you turn it on, that's better. And then in it, either you have both or you might have just one. You can double click the VM folder and then double click the blue icon. Okay, so that's how you can turn on your VM. Hello, how are you doing? Okay, so again, what we want is we want to copy our folder from our drive over to our desktop. And you can use your laptop for this lab if you want, but to use a virtual machine, it's better. You can always delete it or recreate it. Okay, so once I have the folder again, I'm going to open up the VM folder and then double click the VBox file, which is the blue icon. So once I have the virtual machine loaded, I'm going to, here it shows you how you can load your virtual machine. you're gonna log in, and if you're using the virtual machine I created like this, you are going to log in as this account in this password. Okay, that was from lab 5 when we did a bunch of commands in PowerShell, right? So that was what that machine was for. Now, in order for VirtualBox to recognize your drive, your external hard drive, you have to mount it in VirtualBox. So once I have my virtual machine loaded and logged in, I'm gonna go to devices and I'm gonna click on USB, and I gotta make sure that I select the USB drive that I have. Mine shows Silicon Power, yours might show Max 1 or Element, Western Digital. It depends on the brand that you have connected. Okay, so if you're not sure, you can take a look physically at the drive that you have. It should show the brand name, right? Or in this PC, it should show the drive information. So once you select that, the virtual machine will be able to see the USB drive, right? Everything that we need to connect to the virtual machine, we need to configure it. So again, devices, USB, and then select the one that you have. We don't want to select the others because that's not the USB drive that we want to use. So for mine, it's PhD Silicon Power. Yours might be Max 1 or Element, Western Digital, etc. Okay, they're not all the same. Hello. Okay, so what we did was we did step 7, and I tried to screenshot it for you so you don't get lost. Okay, the reason why that we do this is at one point you have to be able to navigate to the drive to back up your files. Okay, now Windows does not allow you to back up to C drive. It has to be another drive like a DVD burner, a USB drive, a cloud drive, some drive. That's not part of the local system. Okay. Any question? So make sure we go through the step for lab 9, and we just completed step 1 through 7. And what I did was I highlighted the steps that I added or modified, so that way, you know, compare if you downloaded the old document, you would know. Okay, so we talked about how we mount the drive on the VirtualBox. And you can mount as many drives as you need. In this case, we only have 1. And then after that, I'm here on my desktop. So I go to my virtual machine, and I'm gonna go ahead and select Control Panel or type in Control Panel to search. So Control Panel is very much like settings in Windows, but Control Panel allows you to administer a lot of the things in the local system through its applet. Okay. And so for Windows administration, desktop is basically Control Panel. Now you can also use Computer Management Console. Microsoft allows you to do that, but for most part, you would use Control Panel. So whenever that you access settings, right, it is part of this. Originally, Microsoft implemented Control Panel, and then they kind of transitioned that to settings to kind of make it seamless to the IoT devices or what you see with tablet, with smart devices and so on. So now Control Panel has multiple views, right? As some of you already took CIS27, so you're familiar with this, but if you haven't, you can change the way it looks. So by default, it's going to take you to the category option. Okay. Now, when you're using Windows Home compared to Windows Pro, you are going to have less or more option depending on the version of Windows Desktop that you have installed. So here I'm using a Windows Pro version, and I'm able to navigate through different applet to control. Normally, when we need to configure system, we would go to System and Security. And under that, you do see some option with the link, and it shows me the link directly. So at this point, I'm here at step 9, and I'm gonna click on System and Security Applet. So click here. Okay, anytime that you need to look at your system RAM and processor, you would go to System, which is your advanced system settings. And then other times you would have other options like this. Now, the difference between Home and Pro is this, your BitLocker. Okay, Enterprise and Pro version has BitLocker compared to what you've seen with the Home version where it doesn't. So Microsoft shipped some version with additional tools and features. Hello, we just started lab 9. We're on step 9. And so you would see that. So once I click System and Security, I'm going to go ahead and choose Backup and Restore. Okay, so where am I at here? I'm at step 11. So once you click this, right, it's going to give you this option, very easy to follow. And what you're going to do is you are going to schedule a backup. So we need to back up when we're not using the system, because if you do, all the changes in your system would need to carry into a backup. So if I'm using the system and backing it up at the same time, it will never finish. Okay, so what you want to do is normally we would back up during downtime or less usage time. In the case where if you work for a company that operates 24/7, right, we have to look at the usage window on when we use it less, so that way we can back it up. And we will back it up from the backup. So when you're looking at data center, like for Facebook, Amazon AWS, Microsoft Azure, right, they have many different backups. And this is why they tell you when you delete an account from social media, it doesn't go away, because you have so many replication of the backup throughout. And it's just a redundancy. So you want redundancy in security in the case where your data gets wiped by ransomware or people deleting your file. Okay. So what we can do is we can create a backup of our entire system, a drive, folder, or files, or whatever we need. Okay. So you're going to click Setup Backup. Click that here on this link, and it's going to take a few seconds to start. Keep in mind that I'm on 2 GB of RAM on this, so it's not too great. So if you mount your drive correctly earlier by clicking Devices and select your drive, you should see it here. If you don't have an external USB drive recommended like this, you need to do that step again, which is this step right above with the image. Okay, so what we're going to do is once we have the drive that we connected to or we mounted, we need to select that drive, and it's going to tell you the amount of space that you need. Okay, and the total size. Okay, so make sure that we have adequate drive space. Storage is always a cost issue for organization. So we're going to select the drive and we're going to go next. Okay, so an interview question might be, how do you back up your Windows 10? Right? Simply, you can say, oh, I would go to Control Panel, go to Systems and Security, click Backup and Restore, and then I would set up the backup by browsing it and sending it to the external hard drive or a storage drive on the network, right? So we got to make sure we know these steps. Okay. So once I select the drive, I would click Next, and I would let Windows choose and what's recommended. The reason why is they already set up options for you. So let's talk about those options. Okay, so I'm here. The default, it's going to select that. And I'm going to go Next. So it's going to back up the user's file. So things that you save in documents, downloads, pictures, things like that for all the user profile on your system. So at home, you might have 5 people logging on to your computer to share, right? Let's say that you share it with your family. Those documents and folders also get backed up with their profile. Also, it's going to create a backup of your system image, which has the C drive or the operating system itself. So what we want is we want to have the OS and the files for the user when they're using the OS. Okay, so that's important. All right. So here, I'm gonna click that option, save settings, and then run back up. Depending on how much stuff you have, if you have a lot of files, this can go on for hours, right? Okay, so just click this. And it's gonna show you the progress, okay? Now, on the administrative side, when you create the backup, let's say that I back it up to a drive and I would send that drive away, right? Or I would back up to a cloud drive. And that basically is a drive on a server with the cloud company. And then I want to secure that, right? So what you normally would do is if you need to physically secure the drive, you have to catalog the drive. That means that you have to put down the date that you back it up and what you're backing up. And what we do is when we need to roll back, so in the case if your system crashed, you would need to take that backup file and then put it back. Keep in mind that backing up might take, let's say, 2 hours. Your restore is going to double or triple that. So you got to give yourself time to restore from the backup. So if it takes me 15 minutes to back up my system now, give yourself an hour when you restore. If you ever restore Windows Desktop, you know, right? You can sit there and wait forever, and sometimes it's successful. Everything goes as well. Sometimes it fails because of driver, then you have to troubleshoot it. So restore is also a process, and we want to make sure that we have preparation in that. So in a security plan, what we normally do is we want to allocate time and resources for backup, right? We write that into a security plan, and one day you're going to do that, right? We're going to talk about analysis and plan next week. What you need to do is you need to make sure that you allocate assets, people, right? Storage and system to be able to do these type of backup and restore. Okay. So now notice that it's going to default to the schedule every Sunday at 7 p.m. But after we're done with this, we can click change settings and we can modify the schedule to the time that you need. Okay. So let me ask you this. If I run a retail store like Walmart, how often should I back up? There are many different systems that's involved, right? Your sales, transactions, very important because that's money coming in, that's in gross income, right? And then you have, yes. Are you in the right folder? I'm trying to go on my phone, but I know it works, right? So it works, and I'm trying to, and it's not working. The same one that created last week, it's not starting now. It's crazy, like, yeah, that's what mine is. Oh, but it's starting now. Hold on. Oh, it's starting. Right now. I don't know why. No, it's not working properly. I know. I mean, I put my lines and it's not working.
Sorry, I know I'm. Only one of them. There are things that. Right. And it's so weird because there's that in one. Yeah, sometimes error checking. Yeah, because what happened is you didn't mount it in the virtual box, so virtually. So it didn't let, because it's not. So the market, I don't know, the general, and then I want to send you. And then now when because mine's the phone call, and then that's it.
Julio, parte de negocios, parte de trabaja como bien 86 días, pero se pagan bien, exactamente.
Once this is done with copy, open it.
Como uno de los
And it keeps stopping. No, it's not, see, it's still doing that. And then eventually, will try to do the device. Oh, actually, someone else.
Yeah, yeah.
Good? Yeah, I don't know. Okay, this is what I want to.
Let me, I'm gonna do my language.
I know, but, go ahead.
I have to,
That's not working.
no, him? Good, good. No, then,
That's what it's else.
yeah, I think we'll be able to, like. Okay, you know what? Oh.
Yeah. That's why. So that's why. No, so ultimately, you don't have to break that. So mine, it could.
Yeah. That's literally. What's going on?
Okay, so.
Yeah.
So they just take that one.
And then, yeah, you, yeah, that's right. Okay. Yep.
Weird, because I put in all my,
It's corrupted this thing.
I'm glad I didn't get another one.
No, I just gotta fix it, but it leaks all there.
Oh, great. My USB is funded. See the issue is because I keep working on files and then I have closing it and kicking it out, and I thought it was better.
So in the case, if we're having issues with, it crashing or you getting blue screen, or when you select the device, keep in mind that the VM is using a lot of RAM. It's running on RAM, so, sometimes before you reboot, you might want to up it to 4 gigs of RAM. Where it's faithful there, right? So in the case you have these continuous problems, and up your VMware to open processor, and then most like 4 gig plus RAM. Each is good. Okay. So, go ahead and click on go to control panels and
Put up, I'm just thinking the leak and then,
wait, central.
yeah, control to the leak.
don't know, it's just rough and stuff. I thought I didn't get anything. Have to start over. No, so this thing is rough because I think I pulled it out and I kept on putting the labs and my son and then I worked on it and then I had this connection. It was like, it's still using and then when I did it injected, it said that I think it's like because it's still. So I feel it's like it's
So. So, hold on, we're gonna do this right now.
I think it's having a problem, maybe we run into the back.
From the food to the.
Yeah, just call me.
Yeah, maybe, you know, what.
Hold on.
Right here.
You know, it's how it's. But then I need to go down and do a little window. Wait, if he was left. Yeah, so this is just a shortcut to the drive. This one, still a shortcut. You see the arrow right there, how that's a shortcut. You copy. You should just grab the folder. So this is the one you can do. The one is finished copy, open this up. Then you can change the range. So open virtual box, add new name, and then, Other problem? Okay? I think it's on spelling, so I tried using the one iPhone, and then I tried using the one that you put on. Yeah, last one, sorry, we haven't much, so. Yeah, I'm gonna look at another one. It's like the little- Is your drive connected? I have to connect it.
It'll be more memory, but.
Is this the same one? Oh, this is a different one than the one you used. Remember, this is the one that we had last week, right? This is the one that you phoned from.
I can start it out, but the moment I try to have the USB.
Yeah, and for some reason, VBox, when you read it directly from Drive to VirtualBox, sometimes it's laggy or it's cracking. So let's do it from the desktop and see if that's successful. So I copy both. I copy the one I created, which is this one. So once that's done, which is the top one here, and then yours. So the reason why is if this fails, you have yours, right? So once that's done, open this up and then run this, but wait till it's finished. Okay. So copy your folder to your desktop first through the virtual box. So when you click Explore, it's gonna want to install Edge because Explorer is no longer used, so just install Edge and then. So when you do the second part, we can use the VirtualBox browser, Edge, and then we can go from there. Okay. All right. So there was some question, and I think there's some good points that brought up. If you're using my CIS27 2023 VM, because this one, if we use it for like Kane or other type of security application, it might not back up all those threat files, right? It's gonna try to block it. That's fine. At some point, if it tells you it cannot complete the backup, that's okay. So what you want to do is take a screenshot once you get through the backup, and then you are going to schedule a backup. So it tells you on here that the next time that it's gonna run the backup automatically is on Sunday, 7 p.m. Okay, by default. But let's say, what if my computer is not turned on Sunday, it will just be the next time that you turn it on. So it's gonna be enabled at that. What happened? You have to move?
Yeah, I don't know, it wasn't working.
Okay,
It just froze and I just turned it off.
all right. So it could be the drive.
I don't know.
I tested the command line, so. All right. So when we are here, right, we look at take a screenshot, and so you should see something like this, right? And then you can see the time that it's default for the next schedule backup. What we can do is we can also change it, right? What if I don't like the schedule? I can click change setting. And then I'm gonna go ahead and redo the steps where I mount to my drive again. And then I would let Windows choose, or if you want specific folder, you can select this part. Right? Again, system image and the users. And then you can also modify this. Now, if you want to do backup now, you just click this. So we can change it. And by default, it's gonna keep it under your Sunday. Okay. So when you change it, you can also point it to the network. And then change schedule right here is where you can modify the day. So I can do a weekly backup, a daily backup, or a monthly backup based on Microsoft options, right? Now, in large facility like Walmart and other bigger companies, they might do hourly backup. And then it would do some live backup, especially for a lot of times they would do some transactional backup, especially for banking and large company. So when you go to an ATM, right, if you're looking at your banks, when you go to an ATM and then you withdraw your money, what it is it's going to send that transaction code to the database server, and it's going to track it. So at the end of the day, they're going to do a batch file where they're going to process all your transaction from all the accounts, right? For all the users. And then after that, they're going to back it up to another system. So that way they would have that. Okay. And in some cases, they would do overlapping backup. So they would back up and then another backup. So that way they would have it. But for our regular desktop, we don't have too many options. So if you want more options, you would go with the third-party software, right? Like I introduced at the end where you have an option to use a software that has more feature. Okay. So we can set time that we need there. Okay. And then once you set it for Saturday, so here I can change it to Saturday, right? I can change it to 11 p.m. and then I click OK and then save and exit. So once that changes, it's going to take a second and it's going to update my schedule. And that's how you can schedule it by clicking settings. And then when you go through the steps, just slow down, right? Making sure that we click change schedule. And then this is where you modify it, okay? Don't click too fast because you're gonna miss that link. So once we have set that up for the schedule, you can take a screenshot. And then for your command prompt, and I will walk around in a second to help some of you that are having issue with your drive. For command prompt, this is what you need to issue. Okay, let me zoom in. Okay, so when you issue the command, you need to tell it to do a wbadmin is the issue for the command to, but you have to run this as an administrator. If you just simply open command prompt, it's going to tell you permission denied. So how do I do that? When I use command prompt, you've seen this before. Before I open it, I right click and I do run as administrator. This allows me to elevate my privilege if I'm logged into an account as administrator. So yes, I am, right? I am a CIS27 student. It is in the administrator group. So you need to open command prompt as administrator. When you do your backup, the backup command in command prompt is going to be wbadmin start backup. And you are going to point to your drive letter, right? So when you mount it, earlier you saw that I have the E drive. So how do I know what drive that is? If you go to quick access or this PC, you should see your drive letter there. By clicking the file explorer, you should see your drive letter, okay? So make sure that I type in target E : this needs to be no space, and then space dash include C : C : This is backing up from the C image, which is my root directory for my Windows, all critical files, that's me, all the system file, and I want it quiet. The reason why you want it quiet is you don't want a lot of details in the actual display. So it's gonna tell me the progress and it's gonna show successfully backup. So we need to finish this after we finish the GUI backup. And it's gonna say this. And what it's going to do is going to create a log file. So for those of us who are in security now, right, we think about how do you know if a certain things are backed up? You can go to a .log. Okay, so that's how you can use command. What's going on? Are we slow?
No, it's the wrong one.
Okay. Questions? We're good. Always struggle with DM. We have to progress better than this.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Really? Yes.
Oh my goodness. Well, it was working. It's when it's on the VM.
Okay. So maybe it's that particular one, right?
It works. You have to turn on the keyboard thing?
No, that's everything about that. Yeah, just not. Sorry,
Well, I think what it is this is where,
something so simple. One year, twice. I have to do it again. I did that before entire person, but I said people was back to that. They fixed it.
I don't know. I think I'm doing my that's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, this stuff you like.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. That's the one that you
Which one you try? You already tried this one?
No.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even. So it's gonna do a thing at the front end, so it's to create a user account. It's gonna be the offer. Not the right one. So the right in the board, my. Yeah. I'm so scared of forgetting, because I want to. In spring, and I was like, going to get to 90% down.
That's what.
I recommend it. It's the phone, so I'm going up, I guess. I know.
Screenshot. So, what is it? Check out it's you can stop on. Besides the. Okay. I'll do that.
Are we okay? What are you doing?
Window.
So I show you the front way and then the control panel. So hopefully a lot of that's the control panel. Right? Yeah. They change the mode. This?
That's it.
Then before you start it.
If you have this one, you have one.
So for all of this, I think that when you run.
And run.
The drive, it's gonna go on.
That's it. That's it. And then they can, you can agree Actually keep the same. Change it, yeah, to 11, and then another screenshot. That's what. So that's what I did too. Do that one, and that's what I said when I was over.
Oh, because you did already.
Yeah, like, I mean, but it just shows what the features of the same. I feel that it's all like.
Okay, and then you
At least.
catch up on the.
Yeah, yeah. It's supposed to be seen.
Oh, that's like the thing when you go on and all the little.
I really-
Right.
Not cancel that. So, she doesn't have a problem?
So, on,
Oh, yeah.
So, and you want to make it so that can make it one of the devices.
It's a good reason I don't have.
The one that does work is I don't have it, but I didn't direct that one. Yes, I don't know if it's see if it's better. I don't know if that's happening. Well, you know what? We did Monday. Before you open it, how do you
And then keep clicking offline with limited options and then, create a user account so you remember the password. Yeah, right back up. Yeah, so no drive text. Your drive, so how can you your drive? So you open here. And then you put your drive, so we type that with the colon, okay? So go back to the when you're saying it's back up to E, it includes E and open for file. So with the person to write the E. Other questions? Okay. Everything's working good? What is going on? Let's see.
I'm foggy today.
Okay.
I'm actually talking to
Okay.
the desktop right now.
All right.
It was working, it's just that when I got down to this.
So before you start it, before you start this. We're gonna browse to the one that's being populated, right? So like, let's see, here, and then point to this, it's not done now. And then we're also gonna want to change the settings, so only on that side. Okay. Yeah, so. We shot it when it gets to like 20%, that's good. So the point is to let you know that there's other software that's able to do that. So. Okay, as some of you are progressing toward this part, right? So let's talk about third party. I grabbed this from some of the websites so that way I can show you. So if you're going for A+ or Security Plus, sometimes they would ask you about differential and incremental backup. So the way that we look at differential backup is that we can have it where it would only back up things that are modified based on the previous backup. Or we can have it building on top of the previous backup. So for example, I have file A on Monday and I went and I modified the file, okay? And then, I'm sorry, I have file A on Monday, I perform a backup on that file. And then on Tuesday, I modified the file. On Wednesday, I run another backup. In the differential backup, it's gonna take a look at the archive bit on the drive, on the file A. And it's gonna only back up the differences on that file on the Wednesday, okay? So in order to restore, I'm gonna have to restore the original file, which is file A from the Monday. And then add the differences to that file, so that way I have the complete updated file. Okay, so when you restore, it actually is a progress in the prior backup along with the differences. Now, on the incremental backup, if I have an original file on Monday, I back up on Tuesday, I back up on Wednesday, and then I crash on Thursday. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna roll back, right, the Monday backup and the Wednesday backup. So that way I'm up to date on the Thursday, on the incremental. Now, on the differential, I have to do the original file from Monday, add the difference on Tuesday, and then whatever the difference in the time prior to the crash. So in a way, you do have some differences, but what happened is the OS actually look at the differences from the archive bit in its last backup. So you have to have an initial backup and then build from that. So in the incremental, if I'm crashed here, I have to build it from the full and the fourth. Understand? Because the fourth has the second and the third. On the differential backup, I have to build it from the full, the differences from then, and then up until that point. So if I have a differences on the fourth backup, then I have to add that because it's gonna look at the files that are different. As you can see, it changes throughout. So it kind of gives you the visualize. Now, is one better than the other? Not necessarily. Right? It really depends on, but if you're looking at resources and storage, differential actually takes up more storage compared to incremental. So a lot of the company, depending on, so for something like Walmart, Costco, Amazon, they might consider doing differential because differential actually have the specific compared to incremental where we're actually building on the full, backing up the first, so that, you know, so if you're looking at storage and costs, it varies from one to the other. So for examination, certification, make sure we know the difference. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and click add. And cancel, and then go to the desktop. Or you did that already. And then, cancel that. Go settings. You go system. And then change it to board. Oh, you gave it 6 already? That's fine. Oh. Add processor, make it dual.
No, it's not.
Okay. It didn't start.
It's happened with
Hello.
That's why I was at. had my husband, was working at the young home. 2 yards, 2 yards of. But I'd rather do it. Somebody did one guy can do that.
Yeah, sometimes it takes the
What if they have to wanna do that all over the house? Yeah.
It's better that way.
Hey, but it looks nice. Oh, so that didn't pay attention. I don't feel like you laughed and then, oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I totally forgot. I'm trying to. That, I thought it was just like, go, go. Yeah, it's on Google and you like that too. I don't wanna recommend it because last time I tried doing that, and it's just.
Well, if I want.
And I kind of.
Why you wait?
I know, I'm just.
I mean, that one, yeah.
Wow.
So think of increment, right? In order to get to Thursday, you gotta go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then for the differential, it's building on the full on Monday, the difference is from the last Monday. So it doesn't, so I can go Monday full, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Thursday I crash, I just go back to the difference on Wednesday. Right? With the incremental, it actually builds all the parts up into that one, so you gotta back up Monday.
Oh.
Both. Yeah, so if you're looking at the incremental compared to the differential is you gotta take the differences from the prior day. Right?
the incremental, basically, it's incremented from the whole to the next one, to the next one, to the next one.
Until the day of that.
The day of the action. Yeah. So when you restore, you have to increment back from the time that you kept. So if I back up up until Wednesday and then I crash on Thursday, then that I can only go back to the last back up. So I have to roll back Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then at the Wednesday point, you are going to lose some data if it's past Tuesday, Thursday, if you haven't done that. You're gonna lose the morning on Thursday. So regardless, you'll lose data.
Yeah, so like, so if, like you said, do that. If it crashes Thursday, you just now that goes into the prior, it'll be gone until that Sunday. Like last time.
Yeah, but on the differential side, if you can't modify anything on the Thursday morning, you're good. You just roll back on the Wednesday difference and you can be fine. So the differential is looking at the differences from the last. Oh, no, when you go back up, it marks your, fixing of the activity of the file as A for the article. That article.
Oh, so. The third time. You would have more. Would have everything.
Yes, so the differential, hence the name is the old differences from the last backup. Right, the differences from the last backup, so if you already have the backup on Tuesday and you crash on Thursday, you only need the differences on. And on the incremental, you have to increment up until that point, so it's gonna actually back up. Do a original backup and then back up from the backup. Increment it up until the date. But regardless, both of that will have the original pool. So from the pool, you can decide on the differences. The main thing is you have to take a look at what is gonna weight more in time and storage.
Oh, so it's okay, incremental would be like storage big.
Yeah, but differential can be heavily on the storage if you have a lot of different. If your user constantly modifying file, so in the case of social media, it doesn't make sense for them to do differential because people constantly updating images and pictures and posts. So the database always moving. Right, so so it makes more sense for them to do incremental and that can be hourly compared to a daily. They might do a daily on the main entirety of the server, but on the servers that are more localized to the region, they might do it more. And there's no right or wrong answer. Yeah, so I think you have to really look at the nature of the business and how you. No, you are not looking at the system, but download the working changes. Yeah. So it's yeah, so it's locked. Let me unlock it. Oh, no.
It's unfolded.
Oh.
Documents. Yeah.
Oh, and then this is.
Yeah.
This is the drive. That's the problem is that. Okay, so we're here.
Oh, you didn't take the shot.
So what?
Oh, no, I didn't do it. Yeah, no, yeah. Yeah, I went.
No, I'm okay. So last time.
Yeah. But that might have been. Oh, still from there? No, it's a. Yeah, it's a scheduled tab.
Yeah, so some of their points are not updated. Okay.
You can stop there. Just cancel it properly. Because you don't want to pause it and then when you boot it again, it's gonna try to go again. All right. So as some of you already got to this part, right? Make sure that you read this. I put it there for you so that way you will remember the difference. Because you might get interview questions, okay? If you apply for a backup operator position or position that's in charge of backup, they're gonna ask you, what's the difference between differential and incremental backup? And then of course you have tons of resources online that you can use. You don't have to complete the backup from the third party. Once it gets past like 15%, you can screenshot it. And then tell me the differences between the differential and incremental, which option you would choose, right? So read this part. It tells you exactly what each one is and it gives you example. There's no right or wrong answer really. A lot of it comes down to cost and resources. So like I mentioned before, for a company that has a lot of differences in their or changes to their data, then it might be more feasible to do incremental compared to differential. But a lot of the companies prefer to do differential because for the reason that they want to make sure that all the modified information or data is backed up. So it really varies depending on operation costs and resources. Once you finish with that, make sure we save our stuff, copy the stuff over to your drive so you have it, and then shut down your computer, okay? Now, before we go, okay, let's talk. I know some of you are working on your stuff, but I want to bring your attention to your security practice lab or practice test. So we bought a test out with some grant money and it's not always going to be around. So it's really semester to semester for me. And it takes a lot for me to get it expensed. So make sure that you use it accordingly. That means that this is free resources for you. And normally it costs $200 for the package. So we're able to purchase 100 package for this semester. And for the next semester, I fight for it again. So the reason why I'm using this is because it does have the 601 questions. That means that they have more questions in the pool compared to Practice Lab or some of the other products that only have the 501, which is retired. So the version is up to date. So you are going to click this link and you are going to get test out link, okay? It's going to look like this and it's going to ask you to validate your test out. Check your email. There is an access code that came out last night from me. I directly email you, not through Canvas, but regular email. If you didn't receive one, right, then email me, because if I'm not sure that you're going to keep the class, I might have not given you a license. So email me and then I can give you the access code. Everybody should get one. Once you have it, activate the code and only do the practice lab. Your score on the practice test, the practice exam, is going to be your score for that assignment. It weights 15%. So do not skip it, and you have now until the end of May to complete. Okay. You have unlimited attempts. So you keep going until you pass. That means that you keep going until you are 80. So 90 questions, 90 minutes. If you have accessibility, I can extend it, but keep in mind that the real test is 90 questions, 90 minutes, regardless. Okay, we need to score 80% or higher. On some security exam like CYSA, I'm teaching 41A now. It's 85% and it's $350 to start. So these exam, I have free tests for you, okay? You can register before June. So once this is going, I will email you the voucher code and you need to schedule. So it's due by June, okay? As long as you schedule your exam before June 2nd, you're good. You can test in July, you can test in August, you can test in September, as long as you test in whatever. For the A+, if you sit in 2 sessions, you are gonna need 2 codes. Okay, and these codes are for MVC students, but I need to burn up some security costs, so no question asked in this class. So I will give you a voucher. Don't go around and tell all the RCC students and Norco students that I'm giving out voucher. It's only because I need to burn it. Now I have to report back, so when you pass the exam, please let me know, so that way I can let them know that I use this money and it's effective, okay? Because money is really hard to get these days for these type of things. So make sure that once you pass, you have 3 years for the certifications and you can start, working, applying for jobs, working an apprenticeship, whatever you need. Okay. So activate your access code. Again, it's in your email. If you didn't get one, send me an email and I will let me know before class ends and I will send you the email tonight. Last night. Okay.
I already got it. So.
I'm sure I sent it to you. Yes. To our CCD account. Whatever email is in Canvas, that's what I use. Okay. All right. If I didn't get you for some reason, because it was late, let me know, because sometimes that happens. My mind lapsed. Last night at about 11 o'clock. So it might go to junk. It should say Security Plus exam, practice exam, test out access code on the subject line. Okay, if you don't have it, let me know. Okay, I should send to everyone. All right, let's stop recording real quick and then do attendance and then I'll help some of you that still needs help.